Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at GrustasBrady on X. You can follow me there. And today, we've got some power rankings. Which 49ers rookies have been performing the best? Find out in today's episode. And stick around until later in the show when we'll be highlighting some underrated performers from preseason week 1. Before we begin, go ahead and subscribe down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get into it. So one of the biggest stories all training camp has been this rookie class, right? This is one of the biggest rookie groups that the Niners have had in the Shanahan and Lynch era. They drafted 11 guys and signed 6 more after the draft. So today, I will be ranking the top 10 rookies on this team so far. Now, of course, got to put this disclaimer out there. None of these guys have played a game that counts in the NFL. Many of these players are young and still developing, but this is my ranking of how they're performing right now. This is kind of a little check-in for our rookie class, right? This may not be how they perform next week or the week after that, right? And this may not be the ranking for the whole season, but this is where they're at right now in their NFL journeys. So I've number 10, I've got the 3rd round pick, Nick Martin. It's clear that Martin's got all the athleticism, right? He can really run, and when he can diagnose the play cleanly, he's been super effective in practices. But there are a few issues. When there is traffic in front of Nick Martin, he can get washed out super easily due to his size. His strength taking on bigger blockers, it's just not there yet. And at Oklahoma State, he was not an effective cover player at all. And you could argue that it's because of how they run their scheme and they asked him to do different things in Solowil. But the point is, Martin's going to have to improve his coverage if he wants to be impactful at the NFL level. He's going to have to improve it a lot because he was not really great in coverage against the Denver Broncos on Saturday night. But there is some good news. Apparently, Martin's been performing really well on special teams. Now, I don't think that he's going to be playing much defense this year, so special teams is going to be his main path to playing time. So I'm glad to hear that Martin is showing out there because he's going to need to impact this team somehow if he wants to stick on the roster. And if it's not going to be defense in year 1, I'm glad that it will at least be special teams instead of just a guy who's riding the bench in all phases of the game, right? You never want that. Number 9 now, I'm going to go with Jacob Robinson. The undrafted corner out of BYU has really made an impression so far. He hasn't been perfect, right? But he's been competitive, and he showed off some nice plays in every practice. In the joint practice with Denver, Robinson looked pretty out of place playing on the outside, but he looked great there on Saturday, or I should say good. He looked good there on Saturday. The Niners really like their versatile corners, so we'll see if Robinson gets any slot reps, but it seems like they like him on the outside. I love his competitiveness, though. That's what I love about Jacob Robinson, and I think the team does too. Robinson's a strong candidate for the practice squad right now, at minimum, but if he keeps impressing, he should definitely beat out Darrell Luter Jr. for a spot on this active roster. I mean, it's clear that Robinson's arrow is going up, and Luter's arrow is maybe going down. So hopefully Robinson can really continue to ball and make the 53. Let's go to number 8 now. It's another undrafted free agent, Sebastian Valdez. He's flashed a lot during one-on-one drills. He's a pretty fun pass rusher, and he can win in a couple of different ways. He's definitely got some bag to him. You know what I mean? He's got a big bag of pass rush moves. Now, the reason that Valdez was a UDFA is that he can tend to get demolished in the run game. He's not the heftiest guy in the middle. He is pretty built, but he doesn't anchor down super great. In the joint practice with Denver, he was getting blown off the ball pretty consistently in team drills. But in the preseason game, he looked great. He was an excellent penetrator, had a couple of sweet TFLs, was laying out for tackles, was beating, guards and centers. He had a cleanup sack. Like, Valdez was playing awesome against Denver on Saturday. With some development, I think Sebastian Valdez could certainly become a role player as a pass rusher kind of guy. He's a guy to watch for the rest of this summer, absolutely. Now, number 7, it's going to be another UDFA. It's guard Drew Moss. Now, Moss has been another 1v1 standout, but he's really impressed in team drills as well. Seems like he's really competing for, that backup guard spot with Connor Colby, right? They're both making a real case for the 53-man roster, but I'm going to give Moss the edge on this list. Out of all the undrafted guys, I think that Moss has the best chance to make the team. Now, it's not a guarantee, right? He's going to have to perform during the preseason, and I thought he did pretty well versus Denver. Not phenomenal, but pretty well. But the strength that Moss has, just physical strength, and his comfort in this scheme have really shown up so far in practices. So if Moss can continue to impress, I think he's a strong candidate for a backup offensive line role. At number 6 now, I'm going to go with Alfred Collins, second rounder out of Texas. Collins' journey is taking a little bit longer than some of his peers, okay? He had a minor injury that kept him out of rookie minicamp. Tough. He held out of OTAs due to a contract negotiation. Tough. And on top of those things, he's told the media that he's never played in this type of scheme before in his career. So there's a lot that's working against Alfred Collins right now. And so it makes sense that he's struggling a little bit earlier on. He was never going to be much of a pass rusher coming out. It's just not really part of his arsenal, at least not early on in his career. Maybe that's something he could develop as the years go by, but you can see that in practices and you could see it in the preseason. Just not much of a pass rusher. He's a great run stuffer, though. You know what I mean? He's had to develop some of that pass rush, and we've seen a little bit of improvement over camp. But you also see some high pad level, and you can see him, eventually start to just kind of go for the passing lanes instead of trying to go through offensive linemen. It's definitely something he needs to work on. But like I said, his run defense, it's ready to go. It's day one caliber. That was his calling card. That's the reason the Niners took him in the second round. That is an area where he is super comfortable, and I think he can be super effective in his rookie year at the earliest. I can't wait to see Collins get more and more comfortable, because when you've got a big dude with that type of athleticism on the inside, he can be a real weapon if he starts to put together a little bit of pass rush work. Number 5, I've got a guy who's already looking very comfortable. I'll be honest. It's running back Jordan James. James currently dealing with a broken finger, which really sucks because he was having a nice camp. James is explosive, he's shifty, he's stocky, and he runs with real attitude. He's broken off more than one big run in camp, and I want to see him do it against another team's defense. Hopefully Jordan James can be back by the Raiders game, but I think he should be back at bare minimum by the Chargers game in week 3. I think that James is good enough to earn a real role on this team. He's a good between the tackles runner, he's a solid pass catcher, and he's a good pass blocker. He's a really nice fit behind McCaffrey and Isaac Guerendo, but he's going to have to come back strong from that injury before he secures that role, especially with how well Patrick Taylor has been playing as of late. One more thing with Jordan James, his measurables were not very good coming out of college, and it's part of the reason he fell all the way to round 5. But like his former Oregon teammate Bucky Irving, I think James can really excel despite that bad RAS score. RAS meaning relative athletic score for those who are unaware. Number 4 now is the other Jordan. It's Jordan Watkins. Watkins was deemed a pretty big reach by a bunch of people online. National media people, 49ers media people. Nobody liked the Jordan Watkins pick, except for me. People who didn't like the Watkins pick were not watching Jordan Watkins at Ole Miss. I've been vocal on this channel. Watkins has 4.3 speed, soft hands. He's an inside-outside versatile player. He's a smooth route runner, and he's got a pretty decent frame. Plus, he blocks. Jordan Watkins is the perfect role player in this system, and I love his fit so far. He's coming off a great week, his best week of camp. He dominated in joint practice against the Broncos. He was practically unguardable. And then in the preseason game, he starts off the very first drive of the game by catching a 50-yard slot fade on a starting NFL slot corner, Jaquan McMillan. Watkins is not perfect, right? But he is awesome. And I think he's a great fit for this team. And I'm glad people are really starting to come around and actually recognize it. Now, traditionally, Kyle Shanahan offenses don't have much room for these rookie wide receivers to be productive, right? The only one that I can really think of that's been productive is Brandon Ayuk, and that was out of necessity. So I'm trying to keep my expectations low for Jordan Watkins in his rookie year. But moving forward, years 2, 3, and onward, I'm really, really excited about what Jordan Watkins can do for the 49ers. And I think that this week is just the tip of the iceberg. So, wow. Oh, Jordan Watkins sounds amazing. Why isn't he in the top 3? That's a great question, audience. It's because our top three have separated themselves from the rest of this rookie class by showing up every single day and delivering consistent, high-level play. And that starts with my number 3 player, CJ West. Now, West started camp super hot. He was a one-on-one demon, and he's quickly rising up the depth chart. Now, part of that is thanks to injuries, but West has been playing great, no question about it. Coming out of Indiana, West's best trait was his run defense. He's a stocky, stout run stuffer in the middle who can really shut down a run game. I mean, we saw him split a double team in that preseason game on Saturday. It was nasty. West is wicked strong. He can toss offensive linemen to the side, but his pass rush has been pretty surprising so far in camp. Most of his wins so far have been against backups, right? But in the joint practice, he beat All-Pro right guard Quinn Miners cleanly for a sack. The ceiling is definitely high for CJ West, and as I've said many times on this channel, I think it's only a matter of time before he starts for this football team. Number 2 has been even better than CJ West. It's Mykel Williams. And full transparency, if it weren't for Mykel hyperextending his knee, he'd probably be number 1 on this list. It has been nothing but rock-solid consistency all camp long for the 11th overall pick. From day one, it's been NFL-caliber run defense with disruptive pass rushing on the interior. It seems like Mykel's going to be back fairly soon after his knee injury, thank goodness, because the Niners need him really badly, especially with how thin the defensive tackle spot is right now. Having Mykel to rush the passer over guards and centers is going to be huge for Saleh and the entire defense this season. I'd like to see Mykel play in the preseason, selfishly, just to really watch him get after it. I mean, I want to watch the guy play, but I also think it would be useful for him, right? We need to see him play an NFL game at NFL speed before the regular season, because I feel like you're just throwing him into the fire if you don't let him play before the games really count. To me, the clear next step for Mykel, the next thing to improve on, is going to be the pass rush moves. Sequencing moves together, having a pass rush plan, developing technique to beat tackles as well as he's beating those guards. That's what Mykel should be working on for most likely the entire year and maybe the next 2 years. Hopefully we are going to get to see him play a preseason game and show off what he's been working on so far. Now, of course, number 1. How could it be anyone else, right? I'm going with Upton Stout, nickel cornerback. He's maybe been the biggest story of this entire training camp so far. He's come in and so quickly ascended to the first team defense. He was having a pretty decent summer before training camp, but once pads came on, he was on fire. His intensity, his mentality, his physicality, his violence, it's exactly what this coaching staff loves and exactly what they want out of their players. Stout is small. All right, he's a small guy. He's 5'8", 181 pounds. That is not avoidable. But there might not be a more feisty player on this entire roster, and I mean that with all sincerity. Stout is sticky in coverage, he's fast, and he's physical enough to match up against guys who are way bigger than him. And he's not afraid to mix it up with the big boys either. Stout is a ferocious run defender. It seems like every practice you hear about Stout getting a tackle for loss in team drills, a pass breakup in 1v1s. And that's pivotal for nickel corners in this defense. That physicality is so important. So Stout is really going to need to keep that up if he wants to dominate in this league. So that's the top 10. If you're very observant or have a great memory, you'd know that means I left out Marcus Siegel, Curtis Rourke, Connor Colby, Junior Bergen, Corey Kiner, Stone Blanton, and Derek Canteen. These guys just haven't shown me as much as the guys that I did include on my list, although I'm still very interested to see where all these careers go. Marcus Siegel and Junior Bergen are 2 guys in particular that I'm going to be watching closely as we move throughout the preseason. We saw Siegel and Bergen both make some really big plays versus the Broncos, and I'm very intrigued to see if they can keep it up. Who's been the most impressive 49ers rookie to you? Were there any guys that I should have had higher? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, speaking of that Broncos game, I want to talk about a few underrated performers who are not getting a ton of media attention and didn't even make my recap episode yesterday. And the first guy is Matt Hennessy, who started Saturday's game with Jake Brendel out at center. Hennessy's an experienced NFL center, and I think he's almost certainly making this roster. he was real quiet on Saturday, which is the best thing for an offensive lineman to be. But I did notice one standout play from him. When Mac Jones lined up for an obvious QB sneak in the first quarter, Matt Hennessy moved DJ Jones 3 yards downfield, and Mac Jones was able to pick it up very easily. If Hennessy can do that and block that well against one of the best run defending D tackles in football on a telegraphed run play, I am very excited to see what else he can do for this team. Hennessy's almost certainly going to make it. Hopefully we don't have to see him play, but if Jake Brendel goes down, it's good to know that we've got a guy like Hennessy behind him. I also thought that Corey Kiner really showed up for this Broncos game. It was a bit harder to evaluate Kiner just because he was mostly playing during the Carter Bradley era of disgusting offense. But he was running with good power, and he showed some really nice contact balance and vision. He had this really nice jump cut in the second half that got a vocal reaction out of me. It was nasty. I think Kiner's a super talented player, and I really hope he either makes the team or sticks around on the practice squad. But I just can't shake the feeling. If he gets cut, I think he's going to go somewhere else and he's going to ball out. So hopefully he can make this 53. And last but not least, I do want to shout out Robbie Chosen. He pretty much only played in the last quarter and a half of the game, so it's hard to make that much of an impact. But I thought that Chosen did. He drew 2 pass interference penalties and gave the offense additional chances. Now, unfortunately, Chosen wasn't able to convert the fourth down catch that effectively ended the game for the 49ers, but I wanted to give him a little bit of credit for earning some more snaps and some more playing time for the entire fourth string offense. That's a veteran move, so thank you very much, Robbie Chosen. That's all for today's episode. It was a bit of a quick one. Let me know down below if you enjoyed. Leave a comment, leave a like, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. I'm Brady Grustas, at GrustasBrady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you tomorrow.